Task 1. The roles and skills of an event organizer. Task 1. The roles and skills of an event organizer. Written, formatted, and narrated by Ronan Welling. Introduction. An event organizer is the universal standard for the creation of any event or gathering for the benefit of a business. As diverse in their skills and areas of specialty as the businesses which they serve, the jack of all trades in the world of business promotion must bear a wide variety of skills, qualities, and abilities to fulfill the demands, roles, and duties of the event organizer. Though difficult to becoming an event organizer is an exciting yet challenging experience for anyone with a true passion for creativity and the world of business. The benefits to be had for both the organizer and the business as a result of a successful event almost always outweigh the liabilities, the organizer benefiting from a very valuable commendation on their CV or resume, and the business benefiting from increased sales, market share, and overall corporate awareness. For an event to be successful, a vast multitude of points of order and managerial dynamics must be seen to by an individual with the skill and experience to meet the demands and expectations of a business. This person is an events organizer. These event organizers must bear a vast range of specific skills and qualities in order to do what is expected of them. And a wide selection of these points, skills, and abilities are all to be discussed within the slides to follow. Organizing an event. Venue. Regardless of the nature of the event, every gathering, regardless of its manner or purpose, needs a venue, a place for the guests and hosts to meet in order for the event to take place. Many points are to be considered when selecting a venue, the most important of which being if the venue is to be set in an urban area, rural area, indoors, outdoors, on-site of the business, or off-site, and of course the overall suitability to the common standards of health and safety for both staff and guests alike. And, of course, each of these points are fully dependent on the context in which the event is to take place, as well as dependent on the circumstances and ideas of the individual businesses. Other points to be considered include parking, area reputation, accessibility, and overall reputability of the venue itself. Here is an example of a commonly used event venue known as the Shaw Conference Centre, located in the industrious city of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Organizing an event. Location. Arguably just as, if not more important than the venue itself, is the capability of finding a general location for the event to take place, which will allow the businesses to prioritize its search of services and venues within that area, and so shorten research time, reduce costs, and lighten the workload for those responsible with booking the venue and any essential services such as transport, toilet facilities, or catering. A multitude of points should be considered when selecting a general location for the event to take place. A business should consider if their event is to be hosted locally, abroad, as well as considering the timing of the event, as well as evaluating the availability of venues and services within the selected locale, whilst considering the accessibility of the location and the possible venues therein. The health and safety of both guests and staff should be taken into account when selecting a location. Yet, of course, all of these factors are directly dependent upon the size of the business and its budget for the event. When selecting a city or greater area, many businesses are known to then narrow down their overall field of search, so to reduce costs or perhaps conform closely to a particular city sector, for example the central business district, and so wish to search only for options within that particular location. This process, sometimes referred to as regional zoning, is oft used within their business to ease the planning process. Organizing an event. Catering. For many, this aspect of organization is oft to be thought of as the make or break for the overall quality of an event. With this standard of expectation in place, catering proves to be one of the most cumbersome aspects of event organization that an organizer is to be faced with. Event organizers must consider if catering services are to be provided by facilities either off or on site, and must also consider the provision of any additional equipment or supplies, whilst being careful to conform to the budget of the event, and therefore keep the costs of any additional services or materials into account, so as to not accidentally overexpend funds. In the politically correct age in which we live in, event organizers should take the religious beliefs or ideals of various peoples into account, so as to appeal to all and to offend none. Like with any catering service, variety is favorable, so to appeal to various tastes of attendees. The extent to which a business can manipulate these factors is fully dependent on the size and importance of the event, therefore dictating what the business is willing to do, whilst also being directly influenced by the extent of the event budget and any expendable excess to use. Catering services are very flexible and so vary in complexity and nature in direct accordance with the event for which it is used for. Organizing an event, planning and reserving facilities. Planning an event of the scale for which a business would make use of an events organizer would call for a vast range of documentation conforming to legal requirements, the signing of contracts, and the dispatch of invitations. Commonplace when planning or reserving facilities for an event of such a scale, an events organizer would oft be required to organize the provision of toilet facilities, be they provided by the venue or from a third-party service, as well as suitable seating, a dance floor if required, and secure storage of equipment. The organizer would also be responsible for the provision and/or coordination of car parking, plausible options of overnight accommodation, which is dependent on the nature of the event. For example, a training retreat would require the booking of an accommodation, whereas a fashion show would likely not. The organizer should also take the provision of any essential transport into account. When dealing with formalities, it should also be the responsibility of the event organizer to have all services in place so that they may coalesce with the program, agenda, or itinerary of the event, and conform to the preparation timeframe set forth by the event's manager. Other documents, such as invitations, menus, and itineraries, would need to be prepared and distributed on an as-needed basis to all those who need to be informed. Any contracts must be negotiated, signed, and kept to. In addition to the many services and facilities which need to be coordinated, the continuous disposal of waste will also allow the event to run smoothly, without much mess. And of course, these points all range and are dependent on the nature of the individual event. A selection of possibly necessary event documents can be found here. Investigating legal requirements. An active pitfall for every event and aspect of business, legal regulations must be conformed to at all times in order to avoid both legal action and the degradation of a business's reputation. Amidst many legal requirements, the events organizer should be careful to conform to the regulations of public liability, as well as conforming to the Consumer Protection Act of 2015, whilst also following the rules set forth by the Data Protection Act of 1998. When planning any aspect of an event, the events organizer must coordinate with the manager or owner of the business of how they are to go about meeting the requirements set forth by the Health and Safety at Work Act of 1974, whilst also meeting the requirements of the Licensing Act and Licensing Orders of 2003 and 1996 respectively, based off of the locale in which the event is to take place. The event organizer must also ensure that the distinguished age restrictions of the area are upheld and enforced, as well as any contractual obligations the businesses may bear. Each of these are both equally essential and dangerous for the business, as failure to acquiesce to the requirements of the law will result in many issues arising for them, both minor and detrimental in nature. Therefore, each point found here is relevant of concern and priority for any business event, and due to the risk therein, lawyers are oft consulted in order to ensure conformity to regulations of the area. Setting up organizational procedures. Organizational procedure, being a diverse and various dynamic to the organization process of a business event, is very much dependent upon the event itself. Due to such dynamic diversity, it is often nigh impossible to list such aspects of event organization. Regardless, some processes and systems must be in place before and during an event. Thought to be one of the most important procedures in the entire process of organizing an event, a risk assessment is essential when evaluating the possible risks to both staff and guests. Failure to do so could result in legal action being taken at the federal level. Guests and staff have the right to be kept safe within a sanctioned event, as set forth by the Health and Safety at Work Act of 1974, the Management of Health and Safety at Work Regulations of 1999, Health and Safety Signs and Signals Regulations of 1996, the Regulatory Reform, otherwise known as Fire Safety Order of 2005, Control of Substances Hazardous to Health Regulations of 2002, the Food Safety Act of 1990, the Reporting of Injuries, Diseases, and Dangerous Occurrences Regulations of 2013, as well as the Supply of Goods and Services Act of 1982. Security is a vital component to events organization for the purposes of ensuring the safety of the guests and staff, as well as keeping unwanted guests out and ensuring order and calm is retained whenever called for, and therein routing any issues or conflicts as soon as possible, so that the business may uphold the aforementioned laws to the best of their ability, to provide guests and staff with a sense of security and safety. Skills needed by an effective events organizer. Organizational skills. As within any area or post of high responsibility and/or priority within a business or corporation, the individual appointed for the post must display a range of organizational skills for application within their work. Amidst many skills within this category, an events organizer should be able to both plan and adhere to a time frame for the event preparation, for the use of all individuals involved within the project. After having formulated a time frame to adhere to, the events organizer should bear the ability to arrange a dynamic plan of execution of that time frame, whilst adhering to it closely. This person should keep close consultation with the owner or manager of the business so that any issues or ideas can be discussed and then carried out, rather than having to redo or alter previous tasks already completed, due to sheer lack of communication. Organizational skills and planning will allow the events organizer to coordinate each individual aspect of the entire event with one another, so that all dynamics and subsections may coalesce with one another, so that the formation of the event can be carried out smoothly and effectively. Organizational skills will allow the events organizer to organize any necessary external services, such as private transport, toilets, catering, or security, with very great ease. Skills needed by an effective events organizer. Continued. Skills required of this post are various, but all event organizers must be capable in their abilities, especially in regards to problem solving. This will allow them to have both the confidence and ability to handle adverse situations in which all has not gone according to plan. The ability to stand firm in the place of such a situation, when paired with knowledge and aptitude to both devise and follow through with a plan to rectify this issue, provides an events organizer with the ability to think on their feet, as it were, and thus be able to come up with new ideas and dynamic solutions off the cuff. This utility is a vital quality for an events organizer to have. Equally important, oft going hand in hand with the ability to solve problems, is the event organizer's sense of time, as well as their ability to manage the time allotted to them. Being able to solve a dynamic problem within a finite time frame is a key combination of skills to have as an events organizer, as it will allow them to both quickly and effectively find a solution to the problem, thus allowing work to continue as quickly as possible. Skills needed by an effective events organizer. Continued. The skills used by an events organizer often go hand in hand with each other to create a metaphorical net of skills for the organizer to make use of, so that no matter at which point of their net an issue is to arise, all strands work together to support the weight of the work beset upon one sector. All skills coalesce within each other to create a strong fabric of character and experience. With the nature of those skills taken into account, as well as the general requirement of interacting with others in order to carry out their role, it is clear why event organizers are expected to be able to interact well with others, and so cooperate and negotiate with them, to create a platform from which the involved parties may move forward in the hopes of fulfilling a common goal. Negotiation abilities are essential in both the creative and formal dynamics of the role, and thus serve a linchpin role within an events organizer's pantheon of skills. Though the spirit of negotiation is to prioritize upon one's own priorities and needs in order to gain as great an individual advantage as possible, being too steadfast in one's position could result in complications or the lack of an essential service or job being fulfilled. It is therefore crucial that an event organizer has the ability to reach a compromise when necessary, taking the common good and overall goal of the event to take priority over personal feelings or ideals. Sometimes a hard decision to make, a compromise or settlement, and the ability to sustain such an agreement is an ability that every event organizer should bear. Skills needed by an effective events organizer. Continued. Further expanding on the range of skills for an events organizer, the two to follow are oft confused for being the same, whereas in reality they are only similar, but present their own benefits when used properly. Being able to communicate and interact with those around them is an essential skill for an event organizer to bear, not only verbally, but through written and physical mediums as well. A charismatic individual bearing well-established communication skills would be an ideal candidate for the post of an events organizer, as their ability to interact with spoken and written word, in addition to body language and behavior, would allow them to interact with everyone in their field of influence appropriately, and so be able to get all necessary points across, and do so in the appropriate manner. In such a charismatically influenced post, such a quality is an essential one to bear. Oft confused for being the same as communication skills, the ability to properly use interpersonal skills allows the organizer to take the tendencies, emotions, and personality of the individuals he or she is conversing with into account when communicating, thus being able to act in a manner in which is suited to their individual expectations. Having a sense of personality for those they are working with will allow them to get across to them on a more personal level, and therefore be more likely to have them understand what needs to be understood. This working knowledge of individual human behavior is alike to experience and working knowledge of individual automobiles. The theoretical knowledge of how it is to be repaired is very helpful, but with working knowledge of what happens during that situation and how to approach each variable will allow the job to be carried out correctly. It is this experience, this interpersonal skill, when joined with communication skills, which allows an events organizer to communicate in any dynamic which may be required. Skills auditing, collecting feedback, the Likert scale. The collection of feedback during and after an event is an essential aspect of it which is to be carried out so that improvements and alterations can be made based off of the findings of the audit, an audit being a form of response to a certain set of stimuli, thus evoking a certain amount of data or other information. A various variety of data collection methods exist. Arguably the most common of all in the business world during the modern day is what is known as the Likert scale, a commonplace method of feedback collection which is simple and suitable for a wide variety of businesses, including Lidl Stiftung & Co., KG GmbH, one of the most popular German grocery stores in all of Europe. Most simply, the Likert scale asks respondents to tick the box which they think accurately outlines their personal response to a statement or multiple statements. The Likert scale varies in the manner in which it is displayed, based off of the manner of the information which they wish to collect, and the purpose for which the information is to be used after it has been collected. Two examples of the Likert scale in use can be seen here. Skills auditing, collecting feedback, the semantic differential scale. Similar to the Likert scale, the semantic differential scale is a more in-depth approach to a similar concept of data collection. More commonly presented on a page or online survey, the semantic differential scale is simply another medium through which the attendees of an event or other establishment can provide feedback in regards to the event or other factor and the overall performance of the organizer, depending on what the questions are and for which purpose the information is to be used thereafter. Although almost seemingly identical, the semantic differential scale is oft used to gain a more detailed opinion than that which is provided by the Likert scale, and provides the numerator with opinions organized in a qualitative manner, just like the Likert scale, so that the results can be categorized into a graph, chart, or other plottable medium for which areas of success can be displayed as well as areas of concern. The semantic differential scale, for all instances and purposes, is simply a more detailed variant of the Likert scale with slightly greater practicality due to its ability to be used in both paper or physical or online form. Skills auditing, collecting feedback, observation. A more common form of audit, used by both businessmen and common people alike, is the simple act of observation. The events organizer must be able to observe his or her own surroundings and be able to act on anything that they observe if it is in any way problematic to the organization or management of any aspect of the event. The organizer must not only find the tasks and assign them, but must also observe progress to compensate for any issue or advantage to be had, being able to capitalize on an opportunity, as well as finding an issue before it is to arise and separate novices from the specialists and the professionals from the amateurs. A key feature to look for in an events organizer. If problems are faced, the events organizer must be able to confront the persons involved in order to rectify the issue, and also allows progress and behavior to be monitored within real time. If a particular individual is to be monitored without their knowing, a technique of a mystery shopper will oft prove to be advantageous. When facing any decisions when acting on observations, events organizers must always take the future of the task and the overall future of the business into account. Skills auditing, collecting feedback, questionnaires. Arguably one of the most common forms of data collection within any business or organization would be a simple questionnaire. The utility of a simple questionnaire is applicable as a medium of feedback from both guests and staff about the progress and overall quality of work that the event organizer has displayed and carried out. The simplicity of the concept of this particular form of data collection allows the event organizer to sort through and gather information about his or her own progress very rapidly, and is thus able to very quickly find essential areas of improvement, as well as areas of unprecedented excellence within a very short time frame. Questionnaires, in the many forms in which they appear, are the apparent old reliable in the world of corporate data collection methods. Their ability to be completed either on paper or online makes them very easy to apply within any business or use, and the use of prize incentives on most websites encourages the completion of all distributed questionnaires. However, as the entirety of the document and the data it collects is very much dependent on the design and overall structure and comprehensibility of the document itself, it must be very carefully structured and thought out, or will otherwise return with underwhelming and uninterested results. Skills auditing, collecting feedback, appraisal. A common skill, one which many oft take for granted, is one that not only an events organizer should bear, but also all those whom he or she is working with. The ability to appraise a situation is one that everyone within the working world should bear. What makes it a skill of particular importance to an events organizer is that he or she, as the events organizer, must be able to appraise a situation, and do so correctly, in order to find a correct medium through which to solve the problem or issue. This, in conjunction with all staff appraising each other's performance within the workplace, creates a critical atmosphere which allows all members of staff to be free to evaluate the performance of another and vice versa, thus allowing all involved parties to improve as the work is being carried out, rather than simply agreeing to change behavior during the next project. The capability of progressive improvement which appraisal provides is a necessary skill for both organizer and staff alike. Identification of new personal goals through personal appraisal will improve the skills and work ethic of all those who are involved, thus improving the quality of the work that is done. Personal skills audit, areas of interest. After having worked through the entirety of the skills health check found on the National Career Service website, it has outlined a vast range of personality traits, skills, and abilities unique to me, so that I may evaluate their usability and suitability for the application to the role of an events organizer. The primary areas of interest which it was able to outline, listed from highest to lowest of priority, include reading and writing, something that an events organizer must have an interest and aptitude in for practically every aspect of their work. It also included influencing and influential behavior, both situations and other people, an interest very much based on interpersonal and communicative skills, which an events organizer must possess simply to be able to make others who he or she is working with to understand what is going on. Another included organizing in all aspects, which was an area of interest made clear in my skills audit. Creativity, as well as a focus on numbers, was made apparent through the audit. Some lower areas of interest also included leisure and storage and transport. With caring being surprisingly low on the list, a discrepancy I would attribute to the nature of the questions themselves and the manner in which they were asked. All areas of interest shown here are directly linked with a vast multitude of the skills and abilities which are required of an events organizer. Personal skills audit, motivations. Surprisingly, the motivations made apparent in my results were marked with surprising accuracy. Being a man of the arts, but also an individual who appreciates order and organization, the concept of a creative and organized environment came very naturally to me. Therein, as I feel that I am a charismatic person, I was glad to see that my need for a people-focused environment was made clear, as I love to interact with colleagues and customers on the daily. Like any business person, one of my largest priorities within my work life is the money which I am to earn as a result of my work. Though it doesn't influence how I behave within the workplace itself, my selection of job, as well as tolerance for behavior or mistake within the post, are directly influenced by the pay which I am receiving for my work. Progress and productivity are very important to me, and it is essential that those around me have as much a passion for the task and overall ethic of work as I do, so that a pace of productivity and enjoyment may be retained for all. Being a charismatic person who loves to interact with people, a lively work environment is a must for any job which I hope to take, one in which I am able to interact with others and use my showmanship and charisma for the benefit of the business. A lively atmosphere serves as a standing mechanism of positive reinforcement for any employee working there, and so creates an overall more pleasant environment for all those who are involved. Working with individuals who are known to be specialists within their fields are always a joy to work with, as they will know exactly what needs to be done and how it should be done, and done so within a timely manner. The skill and experience found within a specialist environment creates a greater ease within the workflow and allows the workforce as a whole to become capable of fulfilling far greater tasks, as the capability to do so is always there. With creativity, order, people, money, productivity, liveliness, and specialists as motivations within the workplace, it's something I feel to be a great blend of various dynamics of interest to form a strong base for a new events organizer. Personal skills audit. Strengths. In addition to identifying my areas of interest and motivations, the skills health check was also able to outline my strengths through a series of segmental problems and questions designed to evaluate how I can handle various issues in a series of different mediums and contexts. After having worked through them, it was able to find that I was good at working with numbers, as well as working with written information, in addition to being able to check other written information for errors, while showing aptitude in my ability to solve mechanical problems and work with shapes. Personal skills audit. Weaknesses. Surprisingly, when reading and going through the results of my skills health check, I was only able to find one area which was tested upon which could be marked as a blatant weakness, that weakness being my ability to work with and solve abstract problems. Though surprising, I would argue that this result stems from the nature of the questions themselves rather than my ability to solve them, and as an abstract problem is qualitative in its definition, it is unclear what would dictate an abstract problem, as it is dependent on the opinion and aptitude of the individual in question, as well as their overall skill in the areas in which the author of the test had chosen to test upon. Regardless, if it is seemingly outlined as a weakness for myself, I aim to take it on the chin, as it were, and aim to improve within the future. Personal skills audit analysis. Strengths. Out of the 10 questions which I was asked when working with numbers, I completed all 10 and did so with 100% accuracy. I have always been confident within my grasp of mathematics and feel it is one of the strongest skills that I possess. The ability to work with numbers is an essential one, especially when working with the budget of an event, as well as doing the calculations for suitable time frame of work, foreseeable costs, timings of the event for the itinerary, as well as calculating the demands of service provision with the guest's size, when booking toilet services or catering. My ability to work with numbers is one which is very well suited to the role of an event organizer, and would allow me to fulfill a various range of tasks on that particular skill alone, as well as being able to fulfill a range of other tasks with the use of numeracy in conjunction with other skills. Though I am very confident within my knowledge of mathematics and overall numerical problem solving, I feel that I could further improve by beginning to practice the solution of problems within the context of an event itself, or the operation of the workplace, so that if the chance were to arise, I would have both the necessary skills and experience to fulfill what is expected of me. Overall practice and diversification of my skills application would help me hone this already established skill. Personal skills audit analysis. Strengths. When it came to working with written information, I answered all of the 20 questions and answered 14 of them correctly, showing that I had completed them with reasonable accuracy, as quoted by the skills health check. Though as a writer I am very confident when it comes to working with written information, I feel that if I want to improve my suitability for the role of an event organizer, I should diversify the manners in which I approach written work, and begin practicing working with contracts, itineraries, schedules, and the like, as well as other plausible documents which an event organizer would be responsible for, so that when the time comes, I will be able to approach these forms of context with confidence and reasonable experience. The skills health check also recommends reading more and beginning to work with word puzzles such as crosswords to both diversify my vocabulary and also develop my aptitude for appropriate usage of that newly formed and developed vocabulary. In the terms of checking information, of which was primarily written, I was able to correctly identify 34 of the total discrepancy count, meaning that I recognized almost every single error within this segment. I am very confident in editing and recognizing errors of work, be it written or spoken, or perhaps even practical. An attention to detail will enable me to better appraise situations as well as catch out any flaws within any plans for services, venues, documentation forms, or any other facet of work carried out when planning an event. Having an eye for errors or discrepancies within work will allow me to monitor progress of an event organization very closely and guarantee that all is done the way it should be, in order to guarantee a high standard of work quality, almost guaranteeing a favorable outcome from the project. Having to check through code, financial information, wording, and numbers for any discrepancies during the segment of the check, it was found that I was most effective in outlining errors within the formatting of a document, an ability most advantageous when producing questionnaires, surveys, or consumer-oriented products like itineraries or invitations who directly suffer from poorly made formatting. I would plan to improve my accuracy and speed within this manner by investigating a wide range of documents ranging from simple receipts to contracts and reports for any errors. Increased accuracy and speed in detecting errors will decrease stress and increase the overall reliability and consistency of my work and those involved. Personal skills audit evaluation. Strengths. In the terms of solving mechanical problems, I was able to answer most all of them correctly, only answering 3 of the 11 questions falsely. Though not completely essential for use within the role of an event organizer, as mechanical problems are not oft found within the case of events planning, it is still a good skill to have. Having basic mechanical knowledge of how items and objects interact will allow me as an events organizer to offer insight into innovative methods of decoration, for example how to hang a new chandelier, or how to raise a scaffold for wall painting, etc., and so reduce costs for the business as they do not have to hire an additional person for that sole task. This money will be able to be repurposed and used for a different aspect of the event, which may require more funding. Being able to save money in the long term for a business will lead to increased profits and possibly lead to an opportunity of promotion within the business or planning agency. To improve my skills in mechanical knowledge, I would begin to work with mechanical puzzles and games to expand my knowledge of physical properties and principles, the movement of objects and structure, as well as movement of weight, in order to become more knowledgeable within the field. When working with shapes, I was able to answer 13 of the 14 questions correctly. Being able to work with shapes will allow me to make better use of physical components to decorate, being able to use symmetry and positioning and shape-based recognition to create well-planned and executed dioramas or displays, as well as assist in overall seating structure. As it was stated to benefit those seeking employment in art and design, increased confidence with shape work will allow my creativity to influence my work more easily, no longer fettered by ignorance to an unknown method or aspect of work. Going hand in hand with organizational skills, being able to fully categorize and efficiently place items where they belong will ease the workload and increase consistency and quality of work for both myself and any colleagues involved as well. Working with shapes is very basic in its skill set and thus lacks many professional applications aside from creative intuition when designing a document or display as well as construction. To improve my skills, I would carry out online exercises and puzzles, and experiment with different shape-based design scenarios within the workplace so as to gain more experience for the future. Personal skills audit analysis. Weaknesses. In accordance with the findings of the skills health check, the only primary area from all of the skills which were evaluated which could be counted to as a genuine weakness would be my ability to solve abstract problems. Although I was able to complete the questions close to the suggested time of 15 minutes, I was only able to answer 9 of the 16 questions correctly, thus making it seem as though I have some difficulty in the sense of solving abstract problems. Although I know that I am capable in all of the other areas of expertise in the context of being an effective events organizer, yet experiencing difficulty in the context of abstract problem solving would have a detrimental impact in my overall performance and suitability as an events organizer. Though I would argue that the context and nature of the questions themselves were unrealistic in their application, they have still proven that I need practice in order to hone upon this skill and focus on the flaws within and in order to better myself. This skill is vital to events organization, as an abstract problem may arise from any facet of the organization process. Therefore, any events organizer must be able to have the aptitude to solve adverse and abstract problems at any time, in whichever form they may happen to appear. To improve my overall aptitude for this skills area, I would begin working with more puzzle-based activities and problems, especially those who focus upon the concept of thinking outside of the box, as it were, so that my ability and confidence within the area would increase. After having reached a point of newfound confidence and aptitude, I would then proceed to apply those skills and newfound confidence within a practical setting, so that I may begin to work with more plausible situations, and thus learn to interact with them. This is an area in which I strongly feel I would greatly benefit by learning through practice and practical application rather than just careful theoretical consideration. Conclusion. The role of an events organizer is a difficult and demanding one. Regardless, as I feel that I bear the majority of the skills needed in order to be an effective event organizer, I feel that I would be able to begin work as an event organizer very soon and meet the expectations and demands which come with the post as such. As I worked within the field, I would continue to push myself and my limits in the hopes of both improving and expanding the influence and effect of my strengths, whilst beginning to overcome my weaknesses, so that I may become a more effective events organizer overall. Though I feel that I would be capable of carrying out the work which would be expected of me and to a well done standard, I feel that, as I still have a lot to learn and improve upon, and also thus lack any hands-on experience within the field, it would be my recommendation that I begin work as an assistant to an already well-known, experienced, and well-established events organizer, so that I have the opportunity to learn as I work, and therefore gain vital experience, yet not jeopardize the success of an event due to my own inexperience. An alternative to this idea would be to work with a group of others on a similar skill and experience level such as myself, and collaborate as one unit to fulfill the duties of the event organizer. This would allow everyone in the group to gain experience, learn about the post, as well as independently carry out a business event, coordinated and executed with the permission and supervision of the manager or owner of the business, so that no catastrophic failures risk becoming a possibility. Either way, I feel that I have the aptitude, yet still have much to learn. I look forward to the first such opportunity to arise, however it may come, so that I may put my best foot forward into this new field of business, and strive for progress and success. As shown by the findings of the personal skills audit which was carried out online, I bear the qualities which naturally affiliate themselves with the skills required of an events organizer, as explained within the PowerPoint itself. I, therefore, believe that after having made some personal improvements to some of my personal aspects and skills, I would be very well suited to the role of an events organizer, as outlined by the requirements and demands within this presentation. Sources. In order to present the information and findings held within this presentation, I made use of a multitude of resources, those resources being Bing Image Search and Bing Map Service for the Map of London, the Southern Regional College website, including Moodle-based source information and source support, and resource documents, as well as the use of Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, and finally the National Career Service website for the Skills Health Check itself. I know the presentation has been lengthy, so I would simply like to thank you for your attentiveness and time, and I hope this information has been helpful.